This is Lisa Tucker, host of The Book Cover, which showcases local literary personalities. So listen to The Book Cover on the borderline. And remember, don't judge a book by its cover. Hi, you are listening to The Borderline. I am Lisa Tucker, and this is The Book Cover. And my first guest of the new, our new year is Shelly Nelson Bond. Welcome, Shelly.
Hello, Lisa. Thank you for having me.
So glad to have you on our very first show after the summer. So you'll be able to see all my kinks that I have to get out, that I forgot all my bad habits. So now you are our first-time author.
Yes.
So this is your... it's a collection, I guess you could say, a collection of books that you're doing.
Yes.
But before we get into that, I want to get into your background. So you're a teacher.
Yes, I'm a professor at Sault College in the Child and Youth Care program.
Beautiful. And so it sort of makes sense that you would write a children's book.
Well, it's interesting because we, as child and youth care practitioners, it's children, youth, and families. So yes, but our focus is on children. And I've always been... based on a lot of my own history in the childhood that I experienced, I've always wanted to help children so that they had support that maybe back in the the 70s and 80s you didn't quite have for.
We were seen and not heard.
Exactly,
then,
and mental health issues and things like that. So I've always wanted to create some kind of tool and support, and so this is kind of where this came from, and the idea of Daisy, actually, when I was working on my master's of education, adult education, I had to do an assignment based on and create a story, and that's sort of where Daisy, who is the character of the books, came to fruition, and I used her with these stories.
This
yes,
collection.
Yes,
and so Daisy is sort of the character who teaches the moral of the story. She helps along that moral.
Well, she goes through. The first two are really about issues that she goes through, and the third one, then she becomes the mentor and helps a friend. Okay. So it's kind of how it goes.
I like that. Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
How long did it take you to write them?
It was well, some are a little quicker than others, but over 3 years probably.
Okay.
Working on them.
That's quick when it comes
changing
to
them.
writers.
I have a couple more that have taken me quite a while.
Of course you do. Yeah. Writers always have 2 or 3 books up in their heads, and then a couple down on pages.
Yeah.
So when you started, sort of, you said to yourself, okay, I want to write these books.
Right.
What was your first step? Did you look into a publisher? Did you look into sort of what the niche needed, or did you just write what you thought you wanted to write?
I basically wrote what I thought I wanted to write. I mean, I did look at what other people were doing and sort of how to get started, and luckily found I got started and then found Brian from Tagona Press. But I think I had my first story pretty much completed, and then as we were working on that one, I worked on continued with the other two, because I just felt like Daisy had more to tell and more to experience. So that's sort of how that came. And then once I've got the 3 completed, between Brian and I, we decided to publish it as one book with the 3 stories together.
So the title of the 3, sort of the series, I guess you would call it a trilogy.
I guess you
right?
could, yeah.
So the title, the main title is Daisy's Journey. So tell us a little bit about Daisy. Who is she? What is she?
Well, Daisy, a lot of her experience is based on myself. So some of it has changed, and the stories are they're written so that I think any age group, could read it and enjoy it as a story. The older a child gets, they'll start to understand it differently. So, using their cognitive ability and their critical thinking. And for example, when I wrote the first story, Finding a Friend, is about betrayal. Daisy experiences betrayal by someone who finds herself lost in losing hope in life. But it's metaphorically, written metaphorically. So if you're relating to these issues, you can see it in your own sort of way. So I've had different people read it and see themselves in Daisy. And that's what I was hoping, that would come through that way.
Yeah.
For example, my daughter read it and she cried and thought the book was about her. Oh. So it was,
And how old is your daughter?
She's 23 now. Oh, so yeah.
Lovely.
Yeah. So and she finds friends that help her along the way, and she sees hope, and her dream is to float on a cloud. And
but okay, tell us what Daisy is, though. Daisy is
a flower. Yes,
flower.
Just a daisy, a yellow flower. Yes, that has magical powers. The flowers in the valley have magical powers that they come alive and they can walk and talk. And then not so much in the first book, but in the second book, then we have animals that join the flowers in terms of that story.
I love that you used a daisy too, because it's a common flower.
Right.
So children that become familiar with the daisy stories can be going on a walk in Bellevue Park and say, "Oh, look, it's Daisy."
Yeah, exactly. She's a yellow daisy, so that's a little bit different.
Okay, yes, it is a little bit different. Yeah.
So you don't see those quite as often. In fact, I've had people say, "There's no yellow daisies," but yes, there are yellow daisies.
So why did you come up with a yellow daisy as opposed to like a regular Gerber or anything?
Because of the sun, the yellow.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the yellow. And the yellow was my mother's favorite color, so I think that's part of it too. So
I get that. It was my favorite color because it was my grandma's favorite color.
So
I get that. So in the first book, Daisy is trying to find a friend, and of course, in all children's books, it ends happily, and she eventually. I'm not going to spoiler alert. She finds a friend.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. She goes through. Yeah. She gets lost she goes into an area she's not supposed to, gets lost and has difficulty finding her way, but through different experiences, ends up finding a group of friends, but one in particular that helps her find her way back to where she needs to be.
And is the one in particular friend, is that friend in the second book?
No, because the first book is the second and third book take place before the first book.
Oh, like prequels.
Yes.
like a Star Wars type of deal.
It goes back kind of in terms of another issue that she had when she was young, kind of thing, and so she didn't meet these people at that time.
Okay, I like that timeline. So the second book is Spinning in Circles, and tell me, what does Daisy encounter in that one?
Daisy experiences OCD. Obsessive compulsive disorder.
Oh, well, another topic I can really
relate
to.
So she awesome. In this book, so the first and third books I did more metaphorically, because I'll tell you what the topic is for the third book as well, because they're so can be a little deep, but they don't have to be
dark
exactly.
In a children's book. Yeah, I get that.
So with the OCD, I wanted to call it what it is because it's something that's so misunderstood, I find, in life, and I want people to understand the condition. So people present in different ways with OCD. So with Daisy's comes through with the behaviors of touching things and that sort of thing. So it explains. At first, it just there's a new character in this book named Beatrice, and Beatrice is an owl, a wise owl who watches over the valley and the flowers and the other animals. And Beatrice sort of catches on to these behaviors that Daisy's trying to hide from others, because that's what people with OCD try to do.
Sure.
And so Beatrice helps her along her way, and her journey through dealing with having the OCD.
I love that this book. And there are so many. I mean, again, we talked about growing up in the 70s.
Right.
There was no children's books about OCD or anything like that.
No.
So I grew up having OCD, not really realizing it until I was in my 30s.
Exactly.
And I remember telling my mother as a young person, probably as a child, Mom, I when I touch my hand at a certain pressure, I have to touch my other hand at a certain pressure too. Everything has to be symmetrical.
Yes.
And she said, she didn't know anything about it.
Exactly.
I mean, not that she didn't care. She just didn't know. Nobody did. And I'm thinking, if someone would have told me at that point, it would have saved me probably 20 years of struggling.
Yes.
And I love the fact that OCD is a common topic. Oh, you have OCD? It's almost like having eczema now.
Exactly.
I have that too. Okay, blah, 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 yada, yada. So does Daisy get medicated? Or
Well, it works out. So I've sort of, with my similar story to yours, I did not tell anyone. I didn't know what was wrong with me. I thought if I did tell someone, I'd be sent away.
It's weird. Yes, it
nobody
was,
else is
exactly.
Doing it. Yeah. You thought you were all alone. And I actually... I was in my late 20s before, actually I think it was Billy Bob Thornton was talking about it on a TV interview, And I went, whoa, wait a second. That sounds like me.
Really? But does he have OCD?
Yeah, him. And then, of course, Howie Mandel is another one.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So then you're thinking, wow, I'm not alone, right? And then I went to, I'm kind of going off a little bit here, but I went to a child and youth worker conference. And I don't know if you're familiar with Blacklight Theater.
Yes.
But they put on a play.
Yes.
And one of the skits was a child with OCD who had a difficulty standing at a locker with his lock. And I was sitting in that, it was a dark room, bawling my eyes out because that was me. And it was just so, I write about this in my nonfiction book because I'm about OCD. And the thought of knowing that children now will have that support and understanding that they're not alone. So I really wanted to create something for younger children that really that they could understand that it's something that happens to individuals. So Beatrice, the character in the book, the owl, she goes through studying her books and figures out what it is and helps with I don't get into the medication part of it, but I do talk about
some tools.
Yes, the tools to use, coping skills. And then if a parent does recognize these behaviors in their child, then maybe talk to a doctor and take it further in terms of helping. Or if a child thinks that they feel that way, maybe they can say to their parent, I feel like I have to do those things. So something like that.
I love that. I love it so much. Okay, so Spinning in Circles, so now I know what it's about. Right. It's a very apt title. Beautiful. Yeah. And the third book in that trilogy, the Daisy's Journey, is The Poison Pond. Now this sounds very ominous. I'm hoping it's about the environment.
It's actually about addiction.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay. Well, this is interesting. Yeah. Okay, so tell me about that one.
So again, I wanted to do something about addiction, but again, the younger the reader, you have to be careful about how you approach it.
But I'm a huge believer, and Adrian's heard me talk about this a million times, our producer. If you catch a kid while they're at an adult with OCD or mental health or anything or big feelings,
right,
you're putting a Band-Aid on a broken leg.
Right.
If you catch them when they're younger and have those addictive personalities or traits,
exactly,
you can nip it in the bud.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, I had to say it because I'm a big believer.
Yes.
Big believer.
So this is approached in a way that more characters are introduced, and again, one of the main, so where Daisy got lost before is the Forbidden Forest. So the valley's a beautiful, healthy place to be, and the Forbidden Forest is where scary things lie.
Yeah.
And when you go through the book, it turns out that one of Daisy's friends, Lavender, his father, so Papa Larry, is being noticed by Daisy coming from the Forbidden Forest and acting differently. So through investigation, Daisy and Beatrice,
Beatrice the old owl.
Yes,
okay, wise old owl.
So what happens is Daisy catches Papa Larry, and Papa Larry wants Daisy to keep it a secret. So don't tell anyone that you saw me. So Daisy struggles with having the secret and has to deal with, when should I tell someone, and sees that her friend is having difficulty, so decides to let Beatrice know what's going on. So the lesson in there is, adults shouldn't be asking children to keep secrets. And when you're worried about someone or you think there's a problem or a danger, that you should tell a trusted adult about the secret. So that's one of the lessons.
I love that. And it doesn't sound like, without reading it, because it's not out yet.
Right. It's not quite out yet. Yes.
Without reading it, it sounds like it's not overt. It's not overtly scary. It's not in your face.
Right.
Joe is lying on the floor,
exactly.
hopped up on. It's not overt.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh, I love that.
So basically, it goes on that they figure out that there's this. I don't know how much of the story I should tell. But anyways, there's a what I'm calling a poison pond in the forest, but it's. If you first look at it, you think it's a beautiful flowers around it with a beautiful cool water that you're being, have this urge to go drink from.
Yeah.
And then you can't stop drinking from it, right? But if Beatrice helps Daisy see it for what it really is, it isn't a nice pond. It's a muddy, dirty pond that has this effect that you're seeing with Larry.
Reminds me of, are you familiar with Greek mythology, the lotus flower?
A little bit.
Yeah. This reminding me of that.
I never thought about that. Yeah. But so Larry's behaviors are sort of like mood changes and, walks funny and talks funny kind of thing, right? And so the story goes on where there is help for Larry, but there's also help for Lavender because Lavender runs away. And then there's the story that attached to that of the one with the drinking from the poison pond. Right. Yeah. So they help him, and then eventually they have to take care of the pond after they find Lavender, and it just goes on from there.
Oh wow! It sounds like a great story.
That one is a little more in depth. It's a little bit longer, but I felt like. How do you approach addiction, especially for the real young ones? When, like I said, Brian said he tested the stories on his grandchildren who were very young, and they just enjoyed listening to Daisy's adventures, right?
That's right.
And then as older people were looking at them, they were saying they could understand what was happening and get the metaphor, right? Would look at it differently based on your age.
Simple when it's you have to break it down in a simple form. When my kids were younger, I always so we talked about smoking. Me and my kids talked about smoking, and I said standing around in a group smoking is like standing around hitting yourself in the head with a pan. Because basically you're hurting yourself smoking, and it's hard to stop because it's a behavior that you've become comfortable with, but is it why is it
exactly.
So they got that, and it's just a simple hitting yourself in the head with a pan.
Well, there you go. I find too with the stories, the way they're written, so that it could be a parent or a caregiver or maybe a counselor or a worker, a support person in the child's life, and they can also direct what the child's ready for in terms of explaining what's going on, right? So I thought, that it could be used that way as well. So
I love it.
I'm hoping that people find use in it in that way. It's just a story to tell, or use it as a therapeutic tool while working with children who may be experiencing.
I love a good children's story, but I love a good children's story that can help children.
Right.
As well. Now these books, now they're going to be published through Tagona Press locally, Brian Davies, and it's a very unique way that they're going to be published. Right. So tell us a little bit about that.
Well, Brian is putting together, I think you have the list with you there, the authors that are together.
I'll try to get that out.
I think there'll be about 5 or 6 of us.
So Kevin Collar, Barbara Ranovich, Jennifer Raycroft, and Jennifer Barone. So now I know Barbara and Jennifer Barone are seasoned children's book writers.
Correct.
And they're going to be working with the chocolate social justice.
Yes, through White Pines. Yes, they have the chocolate company now. So they're working some kind of promotion out where they'll be with us, and we'll be promoting our books with the chocolate as well.
I think that's a great idea. Yeah, it could be a shared. It could be a whole event rather than just one author and one book or a series of books. Yeah,
so it's exciting. I'm looking forward to hearing as more details come out.
Right.
But I think he's hoping for sometime mid-October, which is right around the corner, so it'll be fun.
Mid-October, at least you're getting in plenty of time before Christmas.
Exactly.
And this is the thing, right?
Yes.
You want a good fall launch,
right?
Especially children's books.
Yes.
For that's awesome. And you're going to be looking at doing something with the elementary schools and our art hub here on Queen Street.
That's
wonderful.
Yes, it's very exciting.
Love it. Yes, I love it that they're all local authors. They're all children's books, and they're all being published locally.
Yes.
So it's a love letter to the Sioux.
Exactly. Yes, I love that.
Yes. Okay, so now let's go off children for just a minute because we only have a half an hour.
Right.
We're going to talk about some of the other stuff you've got. So, one more thing about the children. Right. Your interactive journal, it's going to be called Grandparents' Day.
Yeah, it's based. That story also came from actually when I was in the Child and Youth Worker program. It was an assignment and bonus marks actually to come up with a therapeutic tool. So this story is based on a brother and sister wanting to go visit their grandparents on Grandparents' Day, which is, I think it's coming up on Sunday the 14th, I think is Grandparents' Day.
Of September?
September, yes.
Okay.
I think it's every second Sunday of September. Every September, second Sunday of September. Right. Anyway, it's they want to go on Grandparents' Day. Their parents can't take them, and they're learning responsibility about it. They want to buy special gifts that they earn the money themselves. So they have to figure out a way to earn the money, figure out a way to convince their parents to trust them to take the bus by themselves and go to visit their grandparents. So what it is there's the story, but then it'll have questions. So have you ever wanted to take the bus by yourself or do something by yourself and your parents had said no? How does that make you feel? So they have an opportunity to write in the book, and then whoever's reading with them, or at whatever age it is, they could discuss those things with them in terms of how they feel. Have you been told no? How does that make you feel?
Yeah, I love that. And
do you get frightened and those sorts of things?
Yeah. And will that now, is that out yet, or is that
that's we're working on these ones, and then that one is
going to follow.
Yes.
So
we're looking at
early next year.
Hopefully, yes. We're looking at where to distribute that one in terms of maybe getting into a school board or, local counselors or something to see if they can use it as a resource.
Yeah, I love that. Mm-hmm. Algoma Family Services.
Yes, exactly.
And then now you're and another work in progress that you're doing. Yes. Again, we were talking before we started recording about people with their minds all over the place. I think you might be one of them, Shelly.
Maybe.
So and again, close to my heart, Beyond the Behaviour, Living with OCD, a nonfiction book.
Right.
Okay, so is it safe to assume that you've got OCD? Yes.
Yes, I do. Yes.
You do have OCD. Mm-hmm. And you've also done, workshops and in your child and youth program. And so you've got backing.
Well, yes. Yeah.
A lifetime of OCD. So you're a specialist.
Yes.
What made you want to write something like that?
For years, I've thought about helping people that nobody would have to go through it alone. Okay. So think that they were the odd person, and that was the catalyst for that.
Yeah.
But there's also the things that I went through in my life that I believe manifested into the OCD. Mm-hmm. So the traumas that were associated with that. Mm-hmm. So I also I'm not going to reveal some of those right now, but just sort of those traumas that affected me, and again, something where I want others to feel supported, and that how that came into fruition and ended with the OCD.
I think that's wonderful. One of the things, I'm always a glasses half full type of girl.
Okay.
And I always thought, so I had OCD, I have anxiety disorder because I can easily see it in others.
Right.
I can easily see it in others because, it's like a mirror, right?
Right.
And I'm the first one to say, and this is, my doctor said this to me when he diagnosed me with anxiety disorder, and I said, I don't really want to take pills. He said, if I told you had diabetes, would you be saying the same thing?
Right, exactly.
And so I don't know how many times I've said that exact same sentence to other people who say, oh, I don't really want to take pills. I tell people all the time, if I wasn't medicated and didn't get help, I would not be the mother that I am, the wife that I am, the daughter that I am, the friend that I am.
Exactly.
It would be impossible. Exactly. I don't even know if I would be married.
Right.
Because, unless I was in control of my entire environment, which is impossible with a husband and children, it's impossible. I would flip out. Mm-hmm. If I wasn't in control of that.
Right.
So I always said, I have this so I can share with other people, so I can tell other people, it's okay.
Exactly.
You're not damaged. You're just different.
Exactly. You're just different.
Yes.
Yes. And there's nothing wrong with that.
There's nothing wrong
It makes
with
people unique individuals. And,
we don't always want to be the same.
Exactly. Well, what a boring world we'd have, right?
What a boring world. And it's so funny, even with autism now, we're talking about different things. It's different than OCD, but
yes.
I look back now and I think, all these people I grew up with, okay, this person has autism, they're on the spectrum, and I'm thinking, at least there is a diagnosis and they know they're not what's the word, damaged.
Exactly.
You don't want to feel that way.
You're just different. Exactly. Yes.
Oh,
and that's, when we grew up, we're talking about that with us hiding what we had. Think about people that you saw that maybe back then they mislabeled and treated people pretty poorly that had disorders that now are treated and
like 100 years
recognized.
100 years ago, Shelly, you and I would have been in an institution.
Exactly.
Counting and
yes. Yeah, I know that was the scary part, back then, not knowing anyone with the same thing. Of course, now, like you said, you look back and think, oh yeah, I don't think I was the only one.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
So I just want these supports to come out. I mean, I have a regret that I didn't do it sooner, but at the same time, you have to be ready, right? You have to be in a place that I'm doing it. Yeah. So this is where I'm finding myself working on. Yeah.
So are you just doing all the research yourself? Or are you leaning on, do you have a psychologist or a child psychologist? No, these aren't children's books. Any type of a specialist you're leaning on, or you're leaning more on your experience with different therapists and
it's more of my experience and then research in terms of where you can go to find support. Yeah. So it's more at this point. I mean, there's a couple directions I could go into right now, but the first part was getting my story out. So it's a difficult process because there's a lot of very personal things that I'm putting out there. So sometimes I think, oh, do I really want to do this? But I think I'm at a point in my life where, if somebody's going to say something about it, oh well. If I can help one person realize that it's okay, then
I'll tell you, Shelly, writing a book, period, is very you have to be raw to write it and hand it to somebody. You're writing it about something very, very personal to you, and at some points in your life may have been very traumatic for you. Exactly. Which you're just doubling down on the fear and the rawness and the realness, and so I commend you. Even though you said you wished you would have done it sooner, that you're doing it at all is highly commendable, because I get that. I totally get that. So resources and different things. Are you going to focus on Northern Ontario or Canada, or is it broad?
I'm hoping to expand. Actually, my sister-in-law, who is my proofreader, Cindy LaValle, she lives in Calgary, and she's wants to help get my books out west as well. So, and then Brian has wonderful ideas. So I'm really, if I can expand it as far as I can, that would be wonderful. That's
beautiful. I love it.
We'll see how that goes. But
we're
definitely starting off with the community.
Right. We just start in the small bits that that are not too scary.
Right.
Yeah. Like I said, writing a book at all is scary business. Okay. So you've got these children's books coming. You've got the journal coming, and you've got this nonfiction book coming. Right. Where will all of these books be available?
Well, at this point, I know that
once they're launched,
right? Marnie has graciously offered to
Marnie Stone at Stone's office.
Stone's, yes. And then Brian has ideas. I know he's looking at a couple of platforms so that you can order them through Tagona, but also a couple of other distributors that I don't have the names for, or I don't think I may be able to say at this point what they are.
I think we talked about he's in the works of adding distributors, which is wonderful for Sault Ste. Marie and local writers. Amazing.
So there's that, and at this point, that's sort of probably I'll set something up that people can connect with me to get them to.
That's wonderful. And when you do have a link, let us know. Because I can post it on the book cover social media.
That's great.
To get it out there. I love to get out socials on local authors.
Thank you.
So you've got these projects. You're going in 100 different directions right now. What's next? What haven't you started that you want to start?
That is something that there's I want to continue with definitely with children's books. And it's just about thinking about, do I want to have Daisy continue with with more adventures, or do I want to come up with something new? Do I want to just create stories that are for fun, or do I want to keep using the therapeutic tools? I do want to expand on the second one there, the journal. That idea. So maybe using more resources that maybe can be used in schools or agencies that deal with mental health.
I love it.
For children. So there's lots of things brewing, but nothing specific at this point.
I know your mind. I can tell. I recognize that mind. Well, thank you so much for coming on. And man, oh man, for a first-time author, first time coming on to our podcast, you've got a lot of stuff going on. So hopefully next year at this time, we'll be able to talk about how wonderful everything you're working on has come out and all your future projects.
Well, that would be fabulous.
Yes.
I really appreciate this opportunity, Lisa. It's been wonderful chatting with you.
Oh, I'm excited for the future for you.
Yes, I'm excited too. I'm really, really excited about getting the books out there and seeing what people think.
I love it.
It's a little scary, but at the same time, it's very exciting.
Good for you. Yeah, this is going to be an exciting chapter for you.
I thank you so much.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. Shelly Nelson Bond, author of many things. I can't even list them all. Daisy's Journey. It's a children's book. Right now, it's a children's book series. There's 3 in it. Children's journaling and journal book called Grandparents' Day, and the nonfiction that you're working on is Beyond the Behaviour, Living with OCD, that I will be very interested in. Thanks so much, Shelly, for coming on.
Thank you, Lisa.
You've been listening On the Borderline. I'm Lisa Tucker. This is the book cover, and remember, don't judge a book by its cover.
I didn't mention with Lisa, but I'm not an artist myself. So with Daisy's books, with the characters, I drew most of the characters, and I enlisted my friend Raymond Gassi, artist, musician Raymond Gassi, to provide me some of his scenery, so his mountain views and things like that. So with our artwork, we gave it to Brian and his team at Tagona Press. I used some AI enhancements to help our drawings come alive for the book. So really exciting about that aspect of the illustrations for the book. Hello, this is Shelly Nelson Bond, author of Daisy's Journey, Grandparents' Day, and Beyond the Behaviour, Living with OCD. I write what I know, and I know what I like, and I know the borderline rocks. Please visit my Facebook page, and thank you for listening. What I know is the borderline rocks. Okay.